I'll go with you, Jerry. Yeah. And we'll just find out what the sorry is.
Yes, here. The gentleman in the blue shirt. Okay. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Any more crocodiles?
No more. I heard there's a couple of manatees.
Oh, really?
Before you begin your meeting, in case Mrs. Archer is not here tonight, since Ms. Dabb's on the end, I'd like to go ahead and, before you start your meeting.
Yes,
and bring you
certainly.
here,
most definitely.
'cause I figure if she's coming, she'd be here by now, so if,
Just gonna take that down to her, or you want Annie to move?
I was gonna have her move down here, but it's
All
all
right.
right, I'll move her nameplate and everything.
Is that all right with
Sorry.
you, Annie?
Ms. Dabbs, you wanna move down here in a seat?
Annie? Oh, you're okay.
That way at least you. Yeah, you can leave all your stuff, just bring the nameplate. We got everything down here and duplicate and triple duplicate.
You need help, Annie? Okay,
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
that's all right.
All right.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Oh, she had all her stuff ready to go, okay. There.
You got room, Annie?
I think they want you to keep me in line. Hit me when they get out of line.
I'd like to call the meeting of the City of Tarpon Springs Code Enforcement Board to order September 6th, 2016. If we could, Mr. Trask, if you could lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Father in heaven, we seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, and our work with clarity. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Where'd it go? There it is.
All right, we'll look that direction. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bobby, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Swetsky,
Here.
Mr. Demasis,
Here.
Ms. Casey,
Here.
Mr. Kramer,
Here.
Mrs. Archer is absent. Mr. Sherry,
Here.
Mrs. Allen, here. Mr. Bergman,
Here.
and Mrs. Dabbs. Thank you. That completes your roll call.
Okay. Code Enforcement Board hearing procedures. It is the intent of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, efficient, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order of this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. The procedure of this board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits. after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After these three steps are taken, this board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearing, we will have all potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. So if you're going to be a witness today, you need to stand up and be sworn in.
All right, raise your right hand, thank you. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give us whole truth and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you, you can be seated.
Please turn off cell phones to silent or off, please. Thank you. Our first case today is case number 16158 East Lime Street. Go ahead, officer.
Afternoon. Case number 16-8000-287. The address is 518 East Lime Street. The property owner is Hilarco LLC and Ann Wine. Originally, I got a complaint about a large amount of trash parked in front of the property. We have enclosed the photographs from the initial inspection and also have a list of prior cases and the rest of the evidence I'm presenting to the board, who Sue's going to hand out. The original complaint, as I stated, was a large amount of trash, furniture, items like that parked out, or placed out in front of the apartment complex on the right-of-way. That's what Exhibit 1 shows. Exhibit number 2 is the list of prior cases. In 2015, I had 2 prior cases for similar issues with the property not being maintained, and there was a prior case in 2014. I believe since 2005, there's been approximately 8 related code enforcement cases regarding duty and maintenance of private property. On July 18th of this year, we issued a notice of violation, which was mailed first class and a return receipt requested. That's item number 3 in the package going around. We did receive a return receipt, which is exhibit number 4. On August 19th of this year, I conducted a re-inspection. The property was not yet in compliance. On August 19th, we issued the notice of hearing, which was mailed first class, and certified return receipt, which is exhibit number 5. Received the certified return receipt, exhibit number 6. All the notices that were sent to the owners were via the Pinellas County Property Appraisers database and the Pinellas County Tax Collectors database. I did get a voicemail from the property owner on 9/7. She discussed the case with the clerk. I received a voicemail from her stating that the property was in compliance. On August 27th, which is the exhibit number 7, which is the at-night photo, I posted the property. I actually posted it like 4 in the morning because I got called in. The last exhibit in the packet is exhibit number 8, which just basically consists of some case notes and some other administrative documents. I did conduct a re-inspection on September 7th of this year, and the property is in compliance at this point. I have the case before the board to have it established. So any potential violations of Section 840 or 822, which is duty of maintenance of private property, or accumulation of trash and debris on private property, will be considered a repeat violator. So as I stated, the property right now is in compliance, but due to the number of priors, I'd like to have it established by the board for any future violations.
Thank you, sir. Is there any questions from the board for Officer Gaston? Comments, concerns? It is now in compliance. No one has any questions? I'll wait until everybody has had a chance to see the evidence. And if you would, Bobby, when you get all of them, could you put them in to evidence, please?
Yes, sir. Didn't even find her. I know. I can't remember.
Okay, like, Officer Gaston says, it is in compliance now. Does anybody have?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to establish a violation. I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented, and the law, that at the time of the alleged violation, sections 8-22 and 8-40 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs were in full force and effect. At the time of the notice of violation, the respondents were in violation of said code sections. However, they are now in compliance.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
No, I'm
No,
sorry.
Roll call.
We need a roll call. I'm sorry, Bobby.
Okay, who was our second? I apologize.
Who seconded the motion?
I did.
Right.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
Kramer.
Trim, sorry.
Okay, Bobby,
Yes, sir.
could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bergerman?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Sherry?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Ms. Casey? Vic Casey?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Mr. Demasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Sylvesky?
Yes. Okay, our second case would be 38 Kramer Avenue. Is there anyone in the audience representing 38 Kramer Avenue? If you would, please, sir, come over here at the desk and give us your name and address. Please, you have already signed in? All right. Sit and give us your name and address there, please.
I live at 9811 San Sebastian Way, Overton.
Okay.
And sir, what relation do you have to the property owner?
I'm purchasing the property.
Do you have anything in writing from the property owner that says that you have the right to speak on his behalf today?
It's in my package.
Okay, what package do you have?
Pictures, description,
Okay,
a letter, contract, and comments.
okay, let me see the letter first, and we only need one copy, because we'll only submit one copy to the board. Is the letter on the top? Okay, thank you. It'd be best if you sit down there, and, because there's a microphone, we can pick you up, this is being audio taped. Mr. Chairman, this is a letter. It's purportedly signed by Mark Schechtler, 7430 Shanley Road in Deansboro, New York. It says, please consider this letter as authorizing David Graham to speak on my behalf, and as I am unable to travel to this board meeting, I have a contract pending on the property to sell it to Mr. and Mrs. Graham, see attached. We, all parties involved in the contract, are asking for a 45-day extension to complete the work required to bring 38 Kramer into compliance. Work has started, and most of the items of concern are being addressed prior to the board meeting. Removal of the Brazilian pepper will be accomplished by Graham's after closing. Okay, so that's sufficient enough to have Mr. Kramer speak. Sue, could you pick this up and show this to Officer Gasson, see whether or not he has any objections to it being considered by the board?
I have no objection.
Okay, if you can just hang on to it for a second and present your case, sir, you'll be next after Officer Gasson presents.
I have a reference case number 168000300, the address 38 Kramer Avenue. As stated, the property owners are Mark Schlachter. I have a package of approximately, or exactly 9 exhibits to present to the board.
Spent a lot of money on postage with that guy.
Sir, do you have any objections to those documents being received into evidence? Okay, thank you.
Okay, officer.
I'm sorry. On July 21st of this year, we received an initial complaint, and initial inspection was completed. The lot was overgrown, has debris and trash on it. Also, there are Brazilian pepper trees growing along the east fence line. I took photos on that day. Those are included in the as exhibit number 1. On July 21st of 2016, a courtesy letter was issued to the listed owner. That's exhibit number 2, requesting the property be taken care of. On August 3rd of this year, I conducted a reinspection. At that time, there was basically no change. On August 8th of this year, we issued a notice of violation, mailed first class, return receipt requested, which is exhibit number 3. And we did get back a return receipt for that certified letter, which is exhibit number 4. On August 24th, I conducted a reinspection. I noted at that time that the lot had been mowed. There's still some pepper trees and some debris on the property. On August 24th, we also mailed a notice of hearing, which was also mailed first class, and return receipt requested, which is exhibit number 5. And exhibit number 6 is the return receipt, which we did not get a return receipt for. So, all the cases, all the notices were mailed to the listed property owner via the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collectors database. I have not received any contact from the owner. I believe I got a voicemail from the gentleman here, which I apologize I didn't get back here. I was on vacation last week, so I just got back. I posted the property on August 27th of this year, which is exhibit number 7. On September 7th, I conducted a reinspection. The lawn is mowed, as I stated. It appears that there's still some pepper trees on the back of the property, and a little bit of yard waste. I think that photograph, which is exhibit number 8, shows a little bit of pile of trash on what used to be, looks like part of the foundation, and some other minor yard debris. The biggest thing right now is the Brazilian pepper trees, and then some of the trash that are still on the property. Exhibit number 9 included in packet is just some related administrative paperwork. At this point, I'd like to have the board find in violation of 822, which is accumulation of trash and debris on private property. 840, duty maintenance of private property. 12-1, which covers a state misdemeanor, specifically 369-251, which is Brazilian pepper trees and invasive species.
At this time, sir, do you have any questions from the officer as far as his statement is concerned? Okay. Give us a minute to review this, and is there any questions of the board for the officer? You'll bear with us a few minutes and we'll review all the information.
I have a question for you, officer.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us, in your own opinion, an approximate amount of time that you would believe that it would take to correct the issues that are still present?
I can't imagine it taking more than 10 days, and the reason I state that is because this property did have had been cleaned up once before, and then judging by the other properties in the city, some similar issues, so I would say about
And what percentage of the Brazilian pepper plants, that you saw in your initial inspection might be still remaining?
I think there's only 1 or 2 trees on the back of the property. That might be a better question for, initially, I'll let the board know. Initially, my first inspection, the house was abandoned, one of the doors was partially open, so I conducted a house check to make sure nobody was in the house. That's when I was on the property towards the back. On my re-inspection, because I wasn't invited onto the property, my photographs were taken kind of with a zoom lens. I didn't walk back to the back.
I see.
So it appears that those trees are still there. But again, I didn't get up close and personal to them, and that's why I may refer that question to the gentleman here.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions of the board for Officer Gaston? Okay, at this time, sir, if you would like to present your case?
My name is David Graham. My wife and I have a pending contract on 38 Kramer. This hearing is,
Could you speak a little, or bring the microphone a little bit closer to you, sir, because we're being taped.
all right, my name is David Graham. My wife and I have a pending contract on the property. This hearing is really the last hurdle to go forward with the contract. There is some permit issues and they've been addressed. I requested to speak to you directly, to try and solve this the easiest way, I guess. We've invested time in doing diligence on the property, and invested money this past week on starting the cleanup. We hauled 8 to 12 yards of trash and yard waste out of there. The pile that you saw just wouldn't go on the truck. It was a 2-hour round trip to my shop, so at 4 o'clock we'd had enough heat for the day. I thought you'd understand. The Brazilian peppers cover just about the entire back of the property. They're so overgrown, and they've grown into the neighbor's yard on the east side, covering his roof. Right now, I estimate about $5,000 to clean the yard up, including the trees that are growing under the foundation. I've asked for 45 days because, like this past week pointed out to us, we don't know when the next storm's coming, and when it does, we lose 3 or 4 days to rain. The tree guys are busy for another week trying to catch up, and it's really a scheduling issue on our part. We've got till the end of the month to close. It's a cash transaction. I expect the closing to occur next week, but I don't control that. I don't mind spending a little money to help clean up. We painted the plywood you saw. Try and do things for the neighbors' benefit when they drive in and out. I can't imagine 6, 8 years they've been looking at a mess, and it's part of the times. Our anticipation is to rehab the house. It will take up to a year with design, permitting, construction, and so on and so forth. I have notes on the pictures, but you've seen them already, so they pretty much self-explanatory. All I'm asking is that you give us a chance to take this and run with it, and try not to mire it down in fines and so on and so forth. It's gonna muddle up the closing of
You
it.
just speak up, sir.
I'm sorry. I just asked you to give us a chance before you file action against the property, whether it's in written or it's monetary, to give us a chance to clean the property. We have the resources and the ability, or we wouldn't have taken this on to start, but I'm stepping into a mess at the tail end of it to try and rectify it. My object initially is to get the property so when people drive out of their driveway, they don't go, oh, God, it's that house again. That they look at it and after a while, they don't even notice it. And in the meantime, we've got an architect and a contractor that are gonna work on the restoration for the inside for the building permit process. But right now, we need a little time because till I close, I don't wanna spend $5,000 on somebody else's property that I may not own. Good for him, but bad for me. And if we have another hurricane come through, all the tree guys are gonna be busy for a period of time. I've got a gentleman I've worked with for a long time. He'll give me a good price, but I have to take and wait till somebody else has got a tree in the middle of their house too. So I think the officer saw the slabs were clear, the debris was gone. We had a slab in the back where we piled up some of the trimmings. The pepper in the front, I cut down and cut out of there again for the neighbor's benefit when you look at it from the street. Painted the side to try and cover up the old weather plywood. Cut some of the pepper down so that we could get to the back to the fence line to drag more of the junk out. But we just don't have the time and resources to spend, on somebody else's property until we closed.
Okay, anything else, sir?
Oh, I'm probably, but I'll think of it later.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board as far as the alleged violator, or towards the alleged violator?
Yeah, I have a question. First, Mr. Graham, I want to commend you for doing the work you are doing on this property, considering that it's not even yours. And the fact that I'm assuming here that the financial problems are coming from out of your pocket at this point. Am I correct in that?
The work and paying the guys?
Correct.
I paid for that.
Okay.
Are you gonna refurb that house and live in it? Is that the idea?
We're gonna sell our house. We're on the water and insurance rates are going through the roof. And so we're gonna be looking, there's a good chance that we will move into the house.
Nice
Right
old
now,
house.
it's gonna be a
Nice old
timing
house,
issue
yeah.
also, whether we move in, and when our place sells.
Nice old house. I looked at it a couple of years ago.
Listen, my wife called me 2 weeks ago on a Saturday. Oh my God, you should see this house, it's beautiful. Somebody's out mowing. I said, you talk to him? No. Why not? Well, I said, chicken. She hung up on me. 10 minutes later, she called back and told me she talked to him, and it was the owner's nephew, I think, that was out cutting the grass. And it took us a week. The following Saturday, we were headed to Tarpon to a party, and she wanted to show me the house, and it was like, I like it. Oh, look at that. Oh, jeez, there's a sign out front. Oh, that's the wrong color sign to have in your yard. So we sent a picture to the nephew because we didn't have the owner's phone number at that point. He still hadn't contacted us. And it didn't take about 10 minutes to get some action from the nephew and then the owner, Mark, to call us back.
Okay.
We followed up with a contract later that week then. And because it's a cash deal, I don't have to wait on a bank. I just have to wait on processing the paperwork.
Okay, thank you,
But
sir.
if there's fines or levies against the property, then that's just gonna confuse
Right.
and delay the issue on our part to have been able to take in and do it.
Is there any other questions for the alleged violator?
I have a couple.
Yeah,
Whenever you guys are ready, I have some.
well, we are done. I was gonna say, yes, go ahead.
Mr. Graham, you're under contract now, correct?
Yeah.
What is your expected closing date?
29th of September.
How firm is that?
I expect closing next week.
Okay,
It-
so obviously
the-
ownership's gonna change then, right?
The owners haven't changed hands, no. And I have the cash, not in a bank, but in a trust. And it takes those guys a week or so to process the paper.
I was just trying to establish what your proposed closing date was on the property.
I'm hoping this week's shot now, so next week. But the contract is by the 29th of September.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions?
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask, and do you have any idea with any research that you've done on this property if there are of the city liens?
I was gonna bring it up in my closing. I know, or I believe, and this may be information Mr. Graham wasn't aware of.
That's what I was
The
thinking.
building department, I think, had condemned that building. So I don't know if you've done all your due diligence as far as liens and things like that with the city. So last year, when I had my last case on that property, it had been, I believe, condemned. So I don't know if there were some issues with permitting. So that's just for what it's worth.
They had a demolition order on the addition, which was the bigger half of the
Okay.
house. It was torn down. The demolition permit, the contractor never closed it. I've had 2 meetings with Anthony and his staff in the office, the contractor, and I had an inspection yesterday.
Okay.
They requested barricade around the finished floor is almost like a deck now out there, but he requested a barricade and closing of 2 sewer pipes. The pipes will be taken care of, and we'll work on the barricade this weekend. Again, we're gonna put in, I don't wanna use the word fence, I understand it's a bad word, but a white barricade around the existing slab from the demoed work. So, I don't wanna look out my door and see orange fencing. I don't wanna look out my door and see 6-foot rental chain link fence around the property. So we're gonna put something that's gonna look nice so people, they have to look at it. You know, it's not out my back door right now. And that's part of the issue with Mark. It's not out his door. He's in New York. He doesn't see it or hear about it until he starts getting letters.
I understand.
Okay, at this time, if there's no other questions, closing statements, please.
The only thing I'd like to present to the board, again, I appreciate Mr. Graham trying to clean this up, but with the closing date at the end of the month, the 45 days takes it back the closing date, which means there's a new ownership issue, which means if he chooses not to take care of it, I'm presenting another case in front of you for the exact same property, for the exact same problem, because I now have new ownership. So the only thing I would present to the board is consideration of a date, within consideration with this closing date, because it does create some issues with ownership. So that's basically all I have. And then as Ms. Vacasey brought up, just making sure there's no other, I know there was issues with that house, and, you know, so I can't say affirmatively if there's any other liens on that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was.
Exactly.
That's the only thing. So, but if he's done his due diligence and there's not, he may be able, again, answer that question better, but I don't know.
Okay. Do you have any closing arguments, sir, or closing statement?
Just that we're not buying it to sit on it to do something maybe next year. I don't live out of state. I live up the road. We obviously have a lot of money tied up in it. And I don't have that kind of money just to buy houses to let them sit and have problems. I want that house turned back into something that is appropriate for the neighborhood, that the neighbors look at it and go, that's a really nice house. Why didn't we buy that house?
Okay.
So
Thank you, sir.
it's gonna take time. It's a great deal of money to go in and cut the trees out of there. It's more than just the Brazilian peppers along the back. You know, the oaks need to be trimmed, the palms need to be trimmed. There's several growing under the foundation that need to be addressed. But till I'm owner, I can't proceed further.
Right.
You know, fines and levies and stuff, just muddy it. Now we gotta try and clear that up before we can close, and the title company will go forward. The title company will look into liens. There's nothing indicated from the building department. That house was headed for the city attorney's office, for more action because of the lack of response from the owner. And they've agreed to table that folder, to allow us time to go forward with this. I have an architect, I have a contractor, I have in excess of $100,000 on the line for the purchase. That doesn't
Okay.
include the 100 plus it's gonna take to renovate that house, so.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. At this point, I'm going to close the public portion of the hearing. Does the board have any discussion in reference to this case?
I would just bring up the point that the gentleman's asking for 60 days, and at least from what I've heard, it seems that he's made whatever effort he possibly could. We don't know whether the closing's actually gonna go through or not. He doesn't know, so certainly we don't. But I'm assuming that at least he's impressed me that with what he said so far indicates to me that he's shown good faith, and at least I'm willing at this point to consider that he's asking for 60 days, and I'm willing to give him that opportunity.
I agree with that also. Is there any other discussion on the board?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, and I understand what the officer is saying here. You know, basically what we're doing is a good faith here, and that's the motion I would come up with, 60 days. And I think that this is exactly the type of neighbor I would want in my neighborhood. So,
Agreed.
okay?
It looks a lot better, that, the pictures that he submitted are gorgeous.
Yep.
It's a darling house.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented, and law that at the time of the alleged violations, sections 8-22, 8-40, and 12-1, specifically 369.251, invasive non-native plants of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs were enforced. The respondent has until November 7th of 2016, and that I figured, my math might be wrong, but I figured that is exactly 60 days. To come into compliance with the code sections, or a fine of $50 per day shall be imposed for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code sections.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Bobby, would you give us roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bergerman?
Yeah.
Mrs. Allen? Yes. Mr. Sharif?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Ms. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Demasis?
Yes.
Mr. Solesky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
You just need to make note that you are or you are not gonna receive into evidence the packet that Mr. Graham submitted. We didn't address that.
Is that packet for us to keep, sir? All right. Do you have that? Could you put that in evidence with the other pictures that Officer Gaston gave us, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No.
No, that's enough.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you coming in. All right. Okay, next case on the docket is East Boyer Street, vacant lot. Is anybody here representing? Okay, if you would, please, go to the table, sit down, and state your name and address, and then we'll start the proceedings. You've both been sworn in, correct? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, I'm Dennis Jennings and Wanda Jennings, my wife. We live in Dunellen, north of Crystal River. We've lived up there for 13 years. We retired from the fire department here in Tarpon Springs after 29 years. We've had the lot since 21 years, since 1994. It's a heavily wooded lot.
Okay, hang on a second, sir. All we needed was your name at
and
this
all
point.
yeah, your name and address. That's all I need.
Okay,
We
Dennis
got-
Jennings.
we got
our
that.
Address 7174 West Copenhagen, Dunellen, Florida.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, officer.
Afternoon, case number 16-80000-321. This is a repeat violator case. It's a property on East Boyer Street. It's a vacant lot, parcel number 072716996120, 0150060. And the owners are present is Dennis and Wanda Jennings. I have a packet that the Mr. or Mrs. Jennings have with all of my exhibits in it.
Yeah, I have to.
Where's Donnell?
north of Crystal River.
Oh, okay.
Rainbow River.
North.
Rainbow River.
Oh, okay.
Rainbow River.
Okay, I'm still lost again. I don't know where Rainbow River.
Mr. Jennings, do you have any objection for putting those pictures in evidence and letting the
No, I
board
have
review?
no problem at all. I took pictures before I started clearing the land after the first
Okay.
citation. I have,
All right. Go ahead, officer.
On August 4th of this year, I received a complaint about the lot being overgrown, and the lot being, as I stated, a repeat violator of City Codes 840 and 852. I took photos on that date, which are included as Exhibit Number 1. June 9th of this year, the property was established by this board for violations of 840 and 852 under case number 16-800000184, which is Exhibit Number 2. On August 8th, the notice of hearing was issued, mailed first class with a return receipt requested at Exhibit Number 3. We did receive the return receipt for the certified letter. That would be Exhibit Number 4. The notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Tax Collector and Property Appraiser's database. I did have contact with Mr. Jennings. I spoke to him advising what was going on with the property. On August 15th of this year, the property was in compliance, but as I've stated before, is a repeat violator for the city codes of 840 and 852, for the lot being overgrown and not being maintained. I posted the property on August 27th of this year. That's Exhibit Number 5. Exhibit Number 6 are just some administrative supplemental documents. And as of September 7th of this year, it's still in compliance. So as I present to the board, from August 4th to a compliance date of August 15th for a violation of City Codes 840 and 852, the period of time the property was not in compliance, and as I stated, they were a repeat violator.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Once the evidence gets around, does anybody have any questions for Officer Gadsden, please?
I do, quickie. On the repeat violations, is it same old, the overgrowth kind of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question for you, officer. The way my math, as far as a repeat violator, we're talking 11 days from August 4th to August 15th?
That'd be reasonable, yes. 11
Okay,
days,
okay, thank you.
Unless we use Common Core.
And then when you get all the evidence, Bobby, if you would, please, put it in evidence.
12 doing the same math.
You don't count the first day, but you do count the last day. It's 11 days. Yeah. 11 days. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Jennings, do you have any questions in reference to the officer's statement?
No, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Other than the time duration of the violation citing on August 4th, I didn't receive notification through the mail until the 12th, Friday the 12th. I immediately called and let him know that it would be taken care of the 13th, the morning of the 13th, which was a Saturday.
Okay.
I ended up in the hospital Sunday night in Gainesville. I called Monday morning to make sure that he knew that it was in compliance.
Okay. Now, is that when you were on vacation, or, okay,
No, I was on vacation last week.
okay,
I work on Saturdays, and I received his phone call, and then I made it a point to check when I went back out on the 15th. But upon the initial inspection on August 4th, as I stated, it was in violation at that
okay.
time.
Since the board has had a chance to review all the evidence in reference to Officer Gaston, is there any questions to Officer Gaston? All right, Mr. Jennings, you have a chance now to present your case, sir.
We purchased the lot in 1994. It's a heavily wooded lot. It's always been wooded. We've kept it up on the front. As of June 4th or July, I'm not sure whether a citation, because a big myrtle tree had come down and taken down a lot of trees on the property. I brought my tractor all the way down from Dunellen to clean up the mess, chop up the trees that was down, nothing that was standing, just to get in there to bush hog and clean it up. Since then, that opened a big opening at the front of this property. Now the weeds are starting to grow because the tree foliage is not there to cover the weeds growing. I am wrong by not assuming that, that's not growing that high or that fast, okay? We live in quite a ways away, 70 miles away. I don't get to Tarpon that often. I've had some health issues to deal with, but we've also, to solve the problem, we went ahead and got a gentleman that's gonna take care, after I got it cleaned up this last time, he's gonna maintain it at least once a month or as needed to make sure that it's been kept up the way it should be.
Kept in compliance.
Okay? I also want to commend Officer Gasson being very diplomatic. I appreciate him talking to me over the phone and give me the information that I need to do and what needs to be to comply. He's been
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Appreciate that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr. Jennings? Okay. You would like to make a closing statement, sir?
If I could ask Mr. Jennings a quick question.
Sure.
You did receive the prior notice when you were placed as a repeat violator earlier this year, correct? You got the letter from the city
Yes,
that stated?
I do have the letter from that.
And you did see the part on it where it clearly stated you're responsible for the property,
Okay.
and it's from the time the violation's observed, not the time not the time you're noticed of the violation, correct? You recall
Right.
that? Okay. My closing statement would simply be, we had priors before. As you guys are aware, I typically don't bring a case to be established or as a repeat violator unless I've had some prior offenses or there's some prior history. I'm not privy to how many there are with this current case. It would be in the prior case. So there had been some priors. He was clearly noticed in June that the property needs to be maintained, and he apparently has some fairly aggressive neighbors that are more than willing to call quickly. That may be unfortunate, but when I did arrive on the 4th, it was in violation, and it wasn't just a little bit, it was pretty substantial, as you can see in the pictures. So it's the responsibility of the property owner to take care of the property. I understand he wasn't noticed until the 12th, but I still contend the violation occurred on the 4th. And then I got out there as fast as I could when he told me it was in compliance to try to shorten that time up. So that's all I have in closing for the board.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any closing statements, Mr. Jennings?
No, we do have not a contract signed yet, but we do have a prospective buyer for buying the property. We're waiting for him to get his finances straightened away, and that should solve the problem of what's happening there. Okay?
And in the meantime, I understand you have hired somebody to maintain the property, to keep it cut and mowed down.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay?
Anything else, sir?
That'll,
Okay, at this time, I'm gonna close the public portion of the hearing. Open it up for discussion as far as the board is concerned.
I just like to be real nice and easy.
Thank you. I go along with that 100%.
Although I'd like to point out, though, that you still have neighbors that had
Yeah.
to put up with this,
But
so.
And neighbors are using it.
You can't speak, ma'am.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you're not allowed, the public portion has been
I
closed.
wasn't gonna bring that into it.
That's all right, that's all right.
We got it from you.
Can I
just-
Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Been interrupted.
Easy, and then hide and watch. If it keeps
Yeah.
up, then we're not easy anymore.
Yes.
I'm not disputing that, but I'm also saying that, that sometimes we're too lenient. And we have to still remember
Yeah.
that whether there's neighbors right next to it or other vacant properties, everybody has a responsibility to maintain their property for the benefit of their neighbors and for Tarpon Springs in general. I just want to point that out. I'm not necessarily saying that we have to go heavy-handed, okay? But we also have to respect that we're here to serve the entire city of Tarpon Springs.
Any other discussions? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make an easy motion.
Okay.
I move that based on testimony, evidence, facts presented in law, that the respondent was in violation of section 8-40 and 8-52 of the Tarpon Springs Code of Ordinances from the initial date of inspection of August 4th, came into compliance on August 15th, a fine of $5 a day for the 11 days of the imposed, for a total fine of $55.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Bobby, could you give me a vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bergman?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Sheree?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Vic Casey?
No.
Mr. Demasis?
No.
Mr. Selesky?
Yes.
The motion carries 5-2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jennings. You're free to go. Bless you. Okay, before I close business, we do have, code enforcement minutes from August 18th.
We still
got
have all these other
affidavits.
affidavits.
Oh!
For another case.
See, I'm trying to,
Second page.
see, I didn't look, okay, I'm sorry. We don't have case number 512 Wideview Avenue?
This is a
That's
It's an
non-compliant.
affidavit of
Affidavit.
non-compliance, sir.
Oh,
That's Bruce's
see, I
job.
got off track and now I'm all messed up. I'm gonna be ruined for the rest of the day. Affidavits of compliance.
You don't want to do the non-compliance?
Oh, okay, we'll do that first too. See, I told you I'm all messed up. I told you.
Are you going home already?
Yeah, I'm there. Okay, affidavits of non-compliance, please, sir.
I move we accept the affidavits of non-compliance in case 16-800000162.
Second.
Okay.
Approved.
We need to make sure that there's no one in the audience for this particular case. Is there anyone in the audience for 512 Wideview Avenue?
No.
Thank you.
So we've had a, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we have affidavits of compliance.
I move we accept the affidavits of compliance in case 16-8000013, case 16-8000030, case 16-8000065, case 16-800000169, case 16-800000216, case 16-800000321.
Is anybody in the audience representing any of these affidavits of compliance? You are.
They're the last one.
Oh, you're the last one, yes, okay, all right. Do I have had a first and a second, could you, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, we have minutes of last month's August 18th, 2016 Code Enforcement Board minutes to review. Has everybody had a chance to review them? because we do have the addendum was on the actual schedule for today's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for August 18th, 2016?
I move that the minutes for the August 18th, 2016 meeting be approved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Anybody else have any comments?
That be your page.
Yeah, that was the
meeting,
addendum,
Okay,
that
yeah.
was for,
and that tells, all right, public comments, board comments, it's the rest of the agenda.
yeah, that's what I'm just getting ready,
Okay.
I'm just, yeah.
Can I back up on the minutes for just a second? I just happened to pass through on page number 7. I think that there's a typo there. And so it says, vote on the motion carried unanimously, but it shows Mrs. Allen is voting no. I believe that she voted yes on that, and so I believe that that's where the mistake is. Are you seeing where I'm at, Bobby?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'll,
Is
check
a
the
mistake.
file when I'll pull it and verify the information is.
So either the carried unanimously or the no vote, one or the other has
Has
to be
to
changed.
change.
So if there could just be a notation of I know you've already approved these minutes, but maybe a motion to approve subject to that change would be in order right now.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that, subject to the research that the, page 7 of the minutes involving case 16-800000269 be reviewed, and either the, vote on the motion be retotaled, or the, vote of Ms. Allen be corrected.
And it's the same thing on page number 8. I just noticed that too. It's the same thing. So maybe you
Make a
can
further
include that.
motion that we also
So we're
include,
consistent with our problems.
page 8, case number 16-8000027.
Thank you.
In which, it indicates that Chairman Sobleski, indicated no, but that the vote was taken unanimously. If that would be reviewed, either the, unanimous be changed, or the, vote as it, is indicated for the chairman be changed.
Second that. All in favor?
Who seconded that?
I did, I seconded, he made,
You can't second it. You as
I'll
the chairman.
second it.
Wanda's seconded.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
You can vote, but you can't.
Now we can take a vote on it, or?
all, yes, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks. Sorry I didn't catch that before.
Oh, no, glad you did, sir. Do we have any, public comments or comments from the board? No? Okay. Then at this point in time, it's 3 minutes till 3. I call the Code Enforcement Board of Tarpon Springs, closed for September the 8th, 2016. Thank you very much.
Now you wanna see who we can find?
Well, Bobby said she's gonna take us up to the
Oh, okay, well, let's
commissioner's
do that
office.
then.
Okay, hold on a second now. You can't go up there together, okay? It would be a sunshine law violation, so,
We go together, because we just wanna talk, to make an appointment. Oh, we can.
Well, let me ask you this.
I don't want there to be any issue later on, so one or the other of you do
Well, I
it.
thought only because,
It's unfortunate,
Vice Chair, I don't have a problem with it all myself.
Yeah,
Our only issue, and I think you
I got it.
understand it, I
Yeah,
don't know
I
if
got
it was
it.
explained.
yeah.
I think it's something that needs to be addressed, so that, you know,
Bobby just
sometimes it's
suggested-
not reality, that it's perception. And I don't want somebody to have the wrong perception if something.
So my suggestion is one or the other of you do it.
Okay, I'll
And
just
there,
go up.
I don't want there to be some argument that there's been a sunshine law violation because it's an issue that may be brought up later in the meeting. So, but we'll protect you both if you
I
will.
think it's worth looking into though, because.
I do too.
Yeah,
okay.
Bobby's gonna take me up after the meeting, and she just said, not actually meeting with them, but setting up an appointment. Sure. For the secretary to go ahead and see them.
I agree.
Mayor, or he can do either one.
My suggestion is he meets with Mark and find out what the history is, the staffing on it, see why it was recommended a particular way.
Okay.
And then,
City manager.
yeah, Mark reports.
Okay, I make a motion that somebody brings
Thank you, Bobby.
WD-40.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sorry for some of the
I need
snafu.
to ask,
but
is this your
lost my train
typing this?
and I was all screwed up.
Uh-huh, I mean, well, no, but what's the question? I'm sorry, I apologize.
I thought it could have been 10.
Information on here, and see, I was a.
Yeah, I just thought, you know,
Oh,
it's
that-
the
but
old
you're
out of
starting
sight, out of
an
mind
active, As
situation.
an active member,
I know, but
and until you
shouldn't have to
actually
be told to mow your lawn.
any, not just the alternate
Oh,
position, another,
yeah,
that's
oh.
when your term would begin. Okay. Even though they elected
Next
you
month.
at
Yes, sir, thank you.
that class, that does not really start affecting your term
Until
limit.
I become.
Bye, Tom.
But I've been passed over a couple of times, I don't know why, yeah.
Uh-huh.